So after the United States did their election last fall, which led to like a lot of chaos and also voters kind of questioning like if they made the right decision of putting back President Donald Trump in the White House. It's now Canada's turn to kind of decide what is next for the country, and it's also a very important moment that the Canadian voters have to make, which could impact not only Canadians but also the rest of the world possibly as well. Now, what I'm actually going to be doing is I'm going to be going through like an explanation about how to get involved in the federal election and what to know when to vote. And we're going to do this with the help of course, Elections Canada through their website, which actually handles the elections. And also later I'll probably talk about how I'm going to be covering the federal election this year. So as you can see probably over here on the here's the website of Elections Canada, where you can find all the information about what to expect in this federal election, which it all began when the new Prime Minister Mark Carney, who succeeded Justin Trudeau, who has been the Prime Minister for at least a decade, and various things that happened in his own party led to him stepping down. But so then after that, Mark Carney was then sworn in as the Prime Minister, and then was Prime Minister for a week. And then on March 23rd, apparently he went to Rideau Hall to see the Governor General and actually dissolve Parliament, which means that an election has been called. So for any of you who kind of do not know about Canadian politics, I mean, how politics works in the country is kind of different than how politics works in the United States, where Canada is part of the Commonwealth, which means that we have a king, that would be King Charles, and then when the king is not in the country, I mean, the king is represented by the Governor General, which apparently right now is Mary Simon. So after when Mark Carney went to the Rideau Hall and actually talked to Governor Simon, she then dissolves Parliament, and then an election begins. So I'm actually probably gonna go now to the important dates part of the website to kind of, see. Oh, actually, I'm going to go to it actually right now. Let me just back. So I'm actually going to go to the, so you go down to the website, you can see it also, there's the key dates part, as well as ways to vote, what identification you can actually use when voting, some FAQs and also information for other types of voters too. And actually also at the top part of the homepage, there's an area where you can kind of find out information about your riding. You just have to put your postal code into the box there below. And then when you do that, then you get all the information about what is your riding, which candidates are running, and also when you can vote. So and also plus you can also apply to actually work on election, at election polls, so that you can actually streamline the democratic process. So I mean, but also to kind of add about how the election in Canada works. Let me just do a quick explanation about that. So in Canada, I mean, of course, we have the House of Commons, which where each seat includes a member of Parliament, which represents a specific a riding in in a city. And then during the previous election, there were 338 seats, but since the previous election, which was about 4 years ago, I mean, election happens 4 years every an election happens every 4 years. or unless if, let's say, like there's a confidence vote that leads to an election. So it's usually this happens when a minority government happens, but when a majority is in the House of Commons, that means that the governing party can actually like pass as many bills unless there's some problems with the party itself. But after that, when bills are passed in the House of Commons, they would then go to the Senate, where which is not elected officials appointed by the by the prime minister on the and then also then after that, once it passes the Senate, it would then go to the governor general, who would give it royal assent, and then it would be passed into law. And then yeah, but for this election this year, I mean, there's gonna be because since the the populations in the country kind of change, so there's actually gonna be some more seats, and this could impact who is going to form government, in this election. This is kind of similar to what what they do in England, where I mean, although in case when there is a minority government, they call it a hung parliament, and usually that would involve maybe either they would have to do a coalition of government, or where two parties kind of form a majority, or they would the governing party would have to work with the other parties to kind of get enough votes to kind of pass legislation through the House of Commons. And then what else? Okay, so let's go back to the website. Let's talk about the key dates of how the election is going to play out. So when the election was called, they would Election Canada offices were open across the country, and then depending on your availability to vote, you can actually vote early at any polling. I mean, you can vote at any office beginning April 22nd at 6:00. And as of right now, you can actually find out which candidates are running in your riding, although the final list will be released around April 9th. Then, after that, in the next few days, you should receive a voter information card, which has all the information you need to vote. But if you didn't get your card yet, you can use the website to find that information, or call Elections Canada about that. For anyone that is actually a student outside of their home province, you can actually vote for your riding actually at the at the school between April 13th and 16th, between 9 o'clock until 9 p.m. And this only is available for participating campuses, but everyone will be getting a guide to the election on April 14th. Beginning April 14th, and Canadian Armed Forces electors can vote at the military poll set up for their base or unit. For anyone that is in prison, they can begin voting on April 16th, where they're serving their sentence. Advanced voting begins on April 18th to 21st. So in case if let's say you had to do something, or you're kind of very busy, you can actually vote during this time. And though, to kind of add to this, I mean, of course, there's the thing called strategic voting, where apparently you would kind of vote in advance before the actual election day, and could impact the results of the election. Although if you do that on advance voting, well, it could backfire. Maybe if let's say something happens between the advance voting days and election day, because I know once you vote, you can't change your vote. So but also, I mean, strategic voting can be beneficial if you're kind of voting on a specific issue. And then we after that, once all the advanced voting is all done, then there'll be special voting begins on April 20th until April 22nd in acute care facilities like hospitals. Then special ballots can be voted in beginning on until April 22nd, 6 p.m. A deadline to vote by mail, which, you could try to vote at the voting station, which is also accessible for everyone, and we'll get to that later. There's sign language interpretation available, and on election day, that's where you actually can vote. And there's actually a variety of places you can go to actually make your vote count. Now that we went through all of the key days of this year's federal election, let's go to some basic information about what to know when voting in the federal election this year. And the first thing we're going to talk about is using some infographics. So in order to vote in this year's federal election, you actually have to be at least 18 years old to actually be eligible to vote. Here's what to know if you're actually registered to vote. So let's see over here. If you're registered to vote, you should receive a voter information card in the mail. But if you're not registered to vote, you can actually register through by filling out a form or update your address. But you can also register where you go to vote. Now, the many different ways you can actually vote, which I probably said in the key days, of course, double check that you actually registered to vote. You can vote at the your local Elections Canada office. In the voters information card, it will show where to vote on specific voting days. And then next, let me just see what we got. Then we're going to go through what to do when you're at the voting station. So here's how to prove yourself when you're actually voting at the voting station. So to prove that you're voting in the election, you have to show one of these pieces of identification, which includes your driver's license or any other card issued by Canadian government, which includes federal, provincial, and local governments. And it has your photo, name, and current address. Or you can show two pieces of identification, which can include your voter information card and a bank statement, as well as utility bills and student ID cards. And there's actually a full list of identifications you can actually use, to show that you're voting the election, which includes band membership card, as well as birth certificate, a Canadian citizenship card, a health card, which in the case of British Columbia, that's actually put in your driver's license or service card. You can also show a bank statement, a credit card, a debit card, insurance certificate, employee card, residential lease, letters of confirmation from a variety of people, your student ID card, blood donor card, CNIB card, hospital card, a label on a prescription container, identity bracelet, and also your medical clinic card. And it has the actual identification has to be shown. It can't be but unless if it was issued electronically, you have to show the printout or show it on a mobile device. There's a third option too, where if you don't have identification, you can still vote if you declare your identity and address in writing and have someone who knows you and who is assigned to your voting station vouch for you. And the voucher must be able to prove their identity address, and a person can only vouch for only one person, except in the case of volunteer care facilities. Well, now I'm probably going to talk about how I'm going to be covering this year's federal election. And actually, this is the first election that I'm kind of covering as a freelance journalist. Well, so throughout the election campaign, we'll probably go on Twitch. I'll probably be watching some the rallies that happen from all of the parties, and also look through what's happening on the election campaign. Then after that, we'll probably do a live reaction of the debates that involve the election, which was unlike the U.S. election that happened last fall, which those debates were not handled by the U.S. government. They were mainly handled by the private networks. I mean, these debates are in collaboration with all the major channels in Canada, which includes CBC, CTV, Global, and City TV. Now, I'm not sure we're going to be doing a live reaction to the French debate, which kind of interesting. Kind of want to watch that to hear all the party leaders speaking in French. But for sure we'll do a live reaction to the English debate. But also I'll be probably working on a mini documentary, kind of following the federal election, but more specifically on like my riding, where we'll possibly interview like the candidates that are running in my riding. It's gonna be interesting who I'm gonna be talking to, and maybe follow them, like going around like the riding, kind of like. Plus, we might also talk to familiar MPs you might recognize, and also possibly talk to some of the party leaders, because, I mean, so far out of like all the party leaders that are in the federal election this year, I did see the leader of the NDP, Jeremy Singh, a lot of times, even since like when he was in the leadership convention where he actually won it, and then surprisingly I recently saw like the leaders of the Green Party, which include Elizabeth May and Jonathan Mature, which I like saw them at the orange carpet of the Juno Awards actually. And I was actually surprised to seeing them. I mean, it's like, but I mean, as we know with what's happening right now, I mean, anyone could probably win the election. So we'll hope that me covering this federal election will be unique and interesting, and might ask a lot of hard questions along the way. But then, if you enjoyed this explainer, you can like this video, subscribe to the channel, where I may not talk a lot about politics after the election, but I mean, at least I'll talk about other things on there. Well, let's hope, and then also to any Canadians that are watching this, make sure that you kind of register to vote and have your voice heard. I'll see you on the election campaign. Bye bye.